All right, g'day, hi, and welcome. Hopefully it doesn't rain. Hopefully the flies ain't too bad out here. We're going to talk about a prep no other prepper in history has ever talked about before. Well, at least that I'm aware of. And that is the chisel prep. Oh, maybe being outside wasn't a good idea. I might get eaten to death here. If you hear like some smack in the background, it's me swatting flies. So yeah, the chisel prep. Let me show you my chisels. These are my, I don't have it anymore because it broke. That's my lathe. Oh, look at this. The gouge is falling apart. Maybe the trick with these things is when they do fall apart, you can just fill them in. If you don't care about the varnishes and stuff on there, what happens is they dry out and they shrink and then things fall out. You could soak these in hot water overnight and then that'll swell up and hold it in. So that's why I thought I'd show you that. But this is just some of them right here. These were my grandfather's. I have no idea how old that stuff is. That one's probably not that old. This one might be over 100, judging by the way that's peened on there. Probably, God knows how old that could be. 150 years old. I don't know. It could be my great-great-grandfather's. But these are interesting type of edges. I know what you're going to say. My God, look at these rusty chisels. Yeah, I know. I got to oil them up. They're not that bad yet. Get out the steel wool and stuff like that. I should have brought my plane out just as a great. The wind's going to kick up now. But I should have brought that out just to show you. But this is just kind of give you the idea. These are very useful. Like I've used all these chisels for carving and stuff like that, and there's still a pretty good edge on that. Learning how to sharpen them and stuff like that. Buy cheap chisels to learn how to sharpen, and then buy good chisels. This chisel probably had it for 20 some odd years. This one maybe about 10 years, whatever. That's a 1 inch, that's a 2 inch. I have a bunch of others, but I didn't feel like tracking them all down. This is just kind of my chisels light. The carving chisels, these are good for other things, especially if you have to go back to the old way of building things. Dovetail joints, etc., etc., etc. So this is something that, like you hear about preppers talking about homesteading and stuff like that, and they will talk about like power tools and everything that requires energy to run. I am from a prepper's point of view, I am a huge proponent of off-grid technology, because these work when the power's out. You just need daylight. You know what I mean? That's it. To see what you're doing. That's it. So you don't cut your own fingers off. So the point of this video is just basically, go over. I'm in the going over everything I own right now. Now, obviously, I got to maintain these chisels a little bit better. Got to get some mineral oil on them and maybe tool oil, stuff like that. You don't want to put too much oil on, because you don't want to get, when you do work with them, you don't want to get you don't want to get oil on your work, right? So if you're carving or whatever. But I've carved masks. I've carved all kinds of stuff. I've did carpentry with these things over the years. The tool bag one I like because you can roll it up. That one's this one is well used. I also have little carving knives. Now I got like tons of carving stuff. So I know in my preps, I don't have to buy any of this. The big thing for me is the sharpening stones and everything like that, which I do have lots of. Most of these are made out of mild steel with chrome plating, so that's why you get the splotchiness on the rust or whatever. But these old things like this, these are steel. These are like premium steel from the Stone Age, so to speak. But the point I'm making is that I know my tools look a little bit rough, but you can keep these things going for 150 years, probably about 100 years. You know what I mean? Maybe 50 or 60, who knows? Maybe not. It's hard to say. Those handles look a lot newer, but those were my grandfather's. Probably that was probably my great-grandfather's, and that was probably my great-great-great-grandfather's. Like it's just, in fact, you could tell that this handle here was at some point remade, so that's probably not the factory handle. But this is neat. A lot of craftsmanship there. Just the craftsman's, old tool makers. I mean, look at this. I mean, you could tell these peened on. So this thing had to be made. Okay. Rolled out on a lathe somehow using tools like that. Then a blacksmith had to make the actual blade, then peen it on, and then shape it so that it looked good, so that you could actually sell it in a store. So very, very, very cool stuff. But these are, it's a prep that some people might not think of when they're building a tool supply. If I was going to a breakaway nation on an expedition, and it was to be like an outpost colony type of thing, where you're away from the cities by like hundreds of miles, so that you're away from all the riffraff that could possibly sneak up on you. and you had to build stuff, I would definitely want, in the wood shop, I would definitely want these kind of hand tools. Maybe better quality ones, whatever, buy the best you can afford. But this is not a bad kit. Like, I think that was like 60 bucks, 25, 40 bucks for that kit. That was a $10 chisel. That one was about a $15 chisel. Yeah, those are good chisels. And this thing, this thing has been, this one and this one have probably the chisels I've used the most in like construction, dock building, stuff like this. I didn't build this. This is mostly my dad, but I mean, I helped like doing that, you know, putting it together. But the railing's all my dad. But I mean, if you want to do like jointery and stuff like that, you know, and all that stuff, you're gonna need that. You know, you're gonna need hand tools that are not only reliable, but you know, could do many different things. So different types of gouges. You see these gouges here. You got I forget the proper name for this one, but basically like a V, straight edge. This is for shaving. You got all these different. I gotta definitely oil those up again. I just haven't gotten around to it, and everything's stored in the basement. That's why it's rusted. Also too, a thing with chisels and stuff like that, oh, never store them in a metal box. Always store them in wood or leather. If not, they will rust even worse than what you see here. So I know, shame on me for the rust, but there we go. Anyway, so I thought it was an interesting prep, something nobody ever talks about, but it's one of those things, like, you don't have to break the bank doing this. You get, a lot of times you can go to a flea market and buy used chisels and stuff like that. Have it, not need it, not have it. It's more the case. But also too, if the power was out all the time, you had nothing to do. One thing I used to do as a kid was I used to carve boats and masks and all kinds of stuff with these kind of kits, right? And then I bought those in my early 20s, and I think that was a Christmas gift. And that was probably in my early 20s when I had the lathes. My lathe burnt out on me. I ended up selling it as scrap. So but you get the idea. Yeah, build up on your tools. So yeah, maybe don't overlook the chisel section, and make sure you get a good plastic mallet or rubber mallet or wood mallet for your chisels. My mallet's on the boat, and I didn't feel like getting it because that's a whole segment on itself. Because if you use a regular hammer on any of these, you'll break them over time. I mean, these things are pretty durable, but even then you still want to use a mallet. All right, there we go.